All right. Well, the sound, let me check on the sound here real quickly before we get going here. Okay, looks like the sound is working fine. Hey, everybody. I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Q&A. It seems like it's been a long time since I've done one of these, and that is fine. I'm glad to be here. We'll talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. You got questions? I got responses. Not going to say I necessarily have answers. I guess I could say I have answers. They're just not necessarily the correct answers. We are frantically getting the library ready today for the retreat coming up in a week. So, Daystar Retreat, library, some new games came in. But at this point, we're kind of going, that's it. The library's closed as of today. Can't add any more new games. But people who are coming to retreat will be glad to know Nucleum just got added. So that's good. Okay, so anyhow, if you have questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments, and I will see what I can do. If you're on a house family homestead, what's the first candy that you get? The first candy I get at a house family homestead is the one I haven't tried before. I'm like, ooh, what do you have that's new? That's always what I ask first. We're almost at the anniversary of your first Q&A. Cool. Let's see here. Grandpa's Christmas dress in August. I always get mad when people say this. Like, legitimately, this is something I always argue with people about. Like, how is this Christmas? This is red. Christmas doesn't own red. St. Patrick's Day doesn't own green. You should be able to dress in different colors without people going, holiday. Now, I mean, if I was wearing a Christmas tie, this tie has raccoons on it. This is the raccoon from Pocahontas, actually, which I just saw at the hotel. My son watched Pocahontas, and wow, that was a dull. That might be my least favorite Disney movie. But anyway, but now I don't like Christmas. Whatever. Pfft. Anyhow, let's see what else we got here. Some real questions. Have I been running pitch card conventions lately? Well, I ran one at Dice Tower East. And how long does a typical race last? I usually run them for an hour. And then whoever's farthest ahead at the end of an hour wins. Doesn't have to necessarily be the race. So yeah, I ran one for adults and one for kids at Dice Tower East. I know some of your kids are into anime. Are any of your kids excited for the live action One Piece? I don't know. My daughters are both at the age where they show excitement for nothing. But I'm interested, so we're going to watch it and see. I'm going to see their reactions. How is BG3 going? I don't know what that means. What's BG3? What's your favorite game of 2023 so far? No, that would be cheating. You'll just have to wait till December when we do our top 10 games of the year. I already have my list prepared, and I just add and subtract games as time goes by. I know you love Brandon Sanderson. Are you as hyped as I am for the Cosmere deck building game announcement? Fingers crossed that it will be good. Well, my initial... Let me see. Cosmere deck building. Well, who's making it? Brotherwise is making it. We will see. We will see. I like Brotherwise, some of the stuff that they've done. I don't love everything that they've done, so we'll see if it's good or not. I am cautiously interested. How's that? What have you been watching on TV? Well, we just watched yesterday, the family and I watched the first couple episodes of Ahsoka. So I'll just preempt the next question, what I think. I liked it, but my goodness, I feel like you needed to watch Rebels, which I haven't watched. I know. Whatever. Cue all the comments of people telling me to watch Rebels. I'll try at some point. Every time I start, I really get thrown off by how much I dislike the animation. I know. It's some of the greatest moments of Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. But I wouldn't have minded if they had maybe a little primer at the beginning of this, because the two main characters were like mad at each other, and I don't know why. And they were talking about Ezra, and I didn't know who Ezra was really, other than someone everyone was worried about. It was cool. The action sequences were great. It feels big. I like that. It feels like a big Star Wars thing. It feels bigger than most of the Star Wars stuff. Like Boba Fett felt really small. This felt big, and I like that aspect. Although I do think it's funny, like at one point they're chasing down some bad guys in the middle of a shipyard. You think there would be some other people coming around and helping and getting involved, and there wasn't. It's just a couple good guys. I'm like, well, where's the police? I'm sure there's ways to explain all that away, but also the one road that the one character likes to drive down really, really fast. Does no one else ever drive on that road? But anyhow, it is funny when we sit and watch these because my daughter's comments are very sarcastic and everyone's talking about it and we're laughing at different things. But I think for the most part, everyone enjoyed it. Let's see here. Because they started TV, we got to rewatch the first Q&A I did September 19th. That's right. Oh, you're saying that's right. I'm almost up to 10-year anniversary on Q&As. It's a 10-year anniversary. Interesting. I don't know if I'll be in the studio or not for that. We'll see. What game do you absolutely love? Are you the worst at? I don't know off the top of my head, but I know we did a top 10 list on this. Top 10 games we like but suck at or something like that. How's Baldur's Gate 3 going? You're assuming I'm playing it. I am not. I haven't played any video games in a while other than like apps like Marvel Snap. I've been busy. I haven't gone back to Zelda. I haven't played the Switch. I haven't played the PS5. I haven't played the Steam Deck. I've just been playing nothing. Anything this fall you're looking forward to? Yeah, Essen probably. Would you ever want a Loth cat for a pet? Is that the thing from Star Wars? I'm going to look it up now. What's a Loth cat? That is the thing from Star Wars. I don't think so. It still looked like a cat, so probably not. Any chance of more Brazilian game reviews on the channel? Well, possibly. I mean, we have lots of different games that come in and out. We play games, we talk about games, and there's always a possibility of any game getting reviewed on our channel. What color lightsaber would I choose? I don't know. White? Do you still get excited when events like Retreat are right on the horizon? I'm very excited about the Retreat. I just want to play games. I'm very excited about playing games for almost a week straight. I really like the X short reviews ramp up lately. Thank you for that. Oh, I'm really glad for that too. And don't forget, you can see those reviews. We cut them up and separate them out on Dice Tower Encore, our separate channel. Go subscribe to that. Let's see here. A new PlayStation handheld announced. Also, I'm out of questions already. Is there no questions today? I guess I can get back to work then. New PlayStation handheld. That's intriguing. Is it going to be able to... It will stream PS5 games. That's interesting. Looks a little bulky. See, the one thing that the Switch does, which I'm still kind of amazed that no one else has copied, is the ability to take those handles out and play them anywhere. Like my kids will put it down and then the handles are here. You don't have to hold this thing in front of you. When I play on the couch, I'd always play like this with the Switch. I have my arms. I can do whatever I want with them. That freedom is so liberating. You don't feel that thing there. Maybe these do come out. This doesn't look that great. This just looks like it's made a screen that's going to be able to play your PS5 games already. Yeah, well, we'll see. I'll want to go look at it in person before I get one. Let's see. After the retreat, how many more events are you scheduled for? Well, we're going to the World Series of Board Gaming at the end of September, and then Essen the week directly after that. So that's 2 big events. After that, the rest of the year, most of our events will be here in studio. We're not going to any other one. How far in advance can you make payments for Dice Tower Cruise? I believe, don't quote me on this, I think you can just go pay the whole thing off if you want to. Where did I go? Me and my son just took a trip to Washington, D.C. I was very excited about this. I do lots and lots of trips, but they're always for the Dice Tower. And so I took a few days off here from the studio, and me and my son, because I already did, when my three oldest daughters were younger, I did a trip with them. Then I did a trip with the next three. And then I was going to wait for 3 more kids, but we just have one. So he gets lucky, I guess. And he wanted to go to Washington, D.C. So we flew up to Washington, D.C. early Wednesday morning. We spent all Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, most of Saturday, flew back and got back at 1 in the morning on Sunday morning. So it was a great trip. Do you read any modern comics? I just read comics from time to time in different ways, in different places. I mostly read Marvel. Let's see here. How do you figure out which CCG sets you get for a library? Not many. Like, I have some Magic the Gathering Commander decks in the library, and I got some Magic the Gathering a cube that people can draft with in the library, but I don't have much in the library because the library has a lot of rare games that people can steal and stuff. I found that CCGs are even more stealable, though. And so why tempt people by putting rare stuff? Like, the Retreat's not going to have Lorcana there. I know some people want to play Lorcana. I guess you can go buy it, but I just don't want to lose the cards or have them all beat up and everything, too. It's just a different ball game. I don't know that they work as well for our conventions. Have I tried playing a clock tower? I've not. Do I like any social deduction? I do. Once the youngest kids are grown up enough, does your wife have any desire to travel to Essen or any other convention with you? She said she'll come to a few. She doesn't want to go to all of them, but she'll come with me occasionally. Play the new Mosaic expansion. I did not know the new Mosaic expansion was out yet, so I have not. Am I going to the retreat with Joey in September? Well, I'm going with Joey and with Z and with Camilla and with Roy and with Mike and with Lindsay and with several hundred other people. So, yes. Why do you believe racing games are all the rage now? Are they? That's from Board Game Hype. So let's look at racing games that came out this year. Okay, so 2023 to 2023. And Board Game Mechanic. I'm sure racing is on here somewhere. Race. All right, let's see what we got here. Racing games that came out this year. Because if it is all the rage, I mean, I know the Heat. Okay, well, this is pretty terrible. It puts things like The Witcher and After Us, because I guess After Us is a race to get 80 points, but those aren't real race games. Pole Position. Okay. Well, maybe let's go back and let's add 2022 to this and see. I mean, we better get Heat then at that point, right? Because Heat came out last year. There's Heat. And there's Ready, Set, Bet. That's mostly it. I think I can successfully say, objectively proven, that their racing games are not the rage right now. Has anyone in the studio messed with Baldur's Gate 3? I don't know. I don't think so, actually. I mean, everyone plays video games, but very few people in Dice Tower are like on the forefront and they're buying new ones. It happens. So maybe someone has, but I haven't heard about it. What is your feeling about price gouging by the friendly local game store? Recently just saw Lorcana starters for double the price. Well, I don't like price gouging, but I'm also very hesitant to call it that. Price gouging is when you desperately need something and someone raises the price on it. Like, hey, this is the only place you can get water. You need water. I'm charging you for it. You don't need Lorcana. Lorcana is also, in a few days, actually, this week, I think, is hitting the big box stores. Hang on. You'll be able to get it. So it's capitalism, and you can dislike or like that all you want. You know, it's fine. I just don't get that upset about it because I'm like, if you're selling it too expensive, I'll wait and buy it somewhere else. The best thing I visited in D.C. Now, that's a tough one. We went to 8 museums when we were there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we went to, no, 9. We went to 9 museums while we were there. We went to the zoo, and we went to the Lincoln Memorial. We went by the Washington Monument, and we went to the World War II Memorial. We went and looked at the White House. We went and looked at the Capitol building. The best place, my favorite museum is probably the natural history one. I just like looking at that stuff. That was a lot of fun. Jimmy's favorite museum was the Children's Museum because there was things to run around and do. But the museum that really surprised me, I've never been to it before, was the Postal Museum. That was a really good museum. I really liked that museum. From a history of, they had a little thing of history of baseball, but it's such a cool museum. Thousands of stamps there, but just more than that, showing the history of the post service. I felt it was very focused. The one thing I don't love about the American History Museum, because it's a cool museum too. I like the American History Museum, but it just feels very haphazard. Like, hey, there's a Hall of Presidents. Okay, that makes sense. And then over here is an entertainment section. And then over here is the history of transportation. Okay, some interesting things, but it feels like there's big swaths of history that are just not in there. And I guess they're covered in other museums, right? If I want to know about the Civil War, there's probably other museums and stuff like that. This feels like it's a bit haphazard on how everything is in that museum. But I still like it. I like all the museums there, even though the Air and Space Museum was only half open because they're renovating it. Did DC feel pretty safe to walk around with kids? I guess. I walked with my son, and it was broad daylight. I don't walk around big cities at night for the most part. And so, yeah, I was like, someone going to attack me in the middle of the street? I don't know. I don't hear about tourists and their kids being attacked in DC, so I guess I wasn't that worried about it. Yeah, it was pretty easy. Jimmy's favorite thing he saw was like I said, the Children's Museum. We also went to a Museum of Illusions, which he liked that a lot. We also went to the Spy Museum. That was fun. Although the Spy Museum, I thought would be more for him, but I think it was more for me. He didn't understand a lot of this Cold War or espionage. It was pretty funny, actually. We went and looked at like spy stuff, and I said, look, this briefcase was actually a radio. And he said, what's a radio? And I thought, and I realized he's never heard or seen a radio. Yes, my wife occasionally listens to the radio in the car, but I don't think he thinks of it that way. Because I use, my phone, Bluetooth, for everything I listen to. So that's not the radio to him. So that was I was like, okay, I got to explain a radio to my son here. So that was an interesting thing. I guess he hasn't got to that part in his history class yet where they taught about the radio. Natural gas, induction, or electric stove? Which makes the best food? I don't know. I always liked having the flame. It felt more cooking to me because you can like rotate the dish to where the flame is. But electric stoves are easier for sure. Am I going to the game retreat with Joey in a couple weeks after the Dice Tower retreat? I'm lost. Is this the thing that Joey is running a one-day event somewhere? Maybe? I don't know. What's going on with Shoots or Marbles? Where is it? It's right over there in my closet. Why did you stop? Well, we paused for a while because it was taking up a lot of resource here at the Dice Tower. I'm not saying it's gone. It will come back. What was the most important thing you learned from board game design? For me, the most important thing was knowing what it felt like to design a game and have people criticize it. Because I got to feel that first end. So that's what's for me. Everyone's going to have different answers to that. I was just thinking about this last night. Every once in a while I think, I wonder if I should work on this game a little bit. Then I think, I am so satisfied. Not everyone has to design a game. It doesn't need to be a part of your life to complete you. And you can say, that's easy, Tom. You got a couple published games. Well, couple. 1 and 1.3. Sure. And yeah, you're right. I don't know. everyone, almost everyone I talk to eventually, the more they get in a board game, eventually they feel like they have to make a board game. But there's so many fun games out there to play. Let's see here. With the success of the new Ninja Turtle movie with sequel and TV series planned, do you think we'll see some new TMNT board games? Any idea who has the license? I don't know who has the license. I mean, IDW has the license, I guess, so whoever would license it from them. How much did you laugh over the Hello Kitty game tags Joey receives? I don't know what that means exactly. I mean, I know it's referencing the top 10 from last week. Race for the Galaxy, best race game ever. Well, technically, most games are races that the first person to accomplish something wins. Let's see here. Board gaming equals Monopoly. Other games for nerds. Well, first of all, I mean, you're right in that regard, that games are for nerds, I suppose, although I prefer the term geek over that. But I love playing games. I think they're fantastic. Board gaming is not just Monopoly. In fact, it's not even mostly Monopoly. There are thousands of games out there. In fact, the game that's played the most in the world is probably Go or chess, more than Monopoly. Monopoly is one of the most sold games in the world. But yeah, there's lots of people love board gaming. And I guess if you want to say that we're nerds, maybe you think that's a put down, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, I went to the U.S. Mint when I was a kid too. I thought about going there, but we only had a few days, and so I didn't want to push it. And also, vacations aren't cheap, so going to a lot of free museums certainly didn't hurt things. How much better at fairies than gnomes are you? Much better. Fairies are my favorite, actually, of the new races. I want to go to National Zoo too. I like the National Zoo. I mean, obviously, you want to go see the pandas. Jimmy had never seen them before. And I want to also do a shout out to Delta, because we got on Delta and the lady welcomed us on, and I said, hey, this is his first flight, when she greeted Jimmy. And so they took him right up to the cockpit and let him sit in the cockpit. I didn't even know that was allowed anymore. I thought that was like an old-timey thing. But they let him sit up there. They let me come up and take pictures. I was like, I'm allowed to poke my head in the cockpit? I thought post 9/11 that was like a non-thing that happened. But it was really cool, and they treated him, and he had a great time with that. The National Zoo was good, though. We enjoyed it. I go to the Miami Zoo a decent amount. We had the Miami Zoo, so I kept comparing them. I think the National Zoo has better, the National Zoo has a very good, I think, large primate house. And their reptile houses and their small mammal houses were pretty cool. Their farm was pretty pathetic. And the whole zoo looks a little run down. It is in the shade, and it is easy to walk. If you ever come to Miami Zoo, be prepared to walk a marathon. It is huge. Miami Zoo rents bikes out. That's because it's a big giant zoo. But I do really like the Miami Zoo. I like the wide open space that it has. So I would say they're almost like a tie between them. Of course, if you like pandas, you got to go to DC. If you were to make a board game museum, where do you think the best city for it? Well, who cares? I don't care what city has a museum in it. You say I want the most people to visit it? Maybe. But I don't think one city should have all the museums. What is this? What is your favorite CCG, not counting Magic or Overpower? Well, first of all, it would probably be Overpower. But after that, probably BattleTech. Or what's the one they're bringing back? Its name has slipped my mind. The one AEG did for a while. Tom is a mountain of a man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and sure, get me right. I do understand that I'm a big guy when I walk in cities, but again, if you walk down main streets in the sun, I don't know what. Again, I don't hear about those kind of people that normally don't get in trouble doing that. I didn't feel unsafe at all. Let's see. Have you ever been up the Washington Monument? No, Jimmy asked about it, but you have to get up early in the morning to go do tickets, and I didn't want to go do it and then have to come back later. I want to take it as casual of a time as possible. Have I played Flesh and Blood? I have. I don't know if we're going to review it. Me and Z played it a few times. I'm not super enamored with it. I didn't dislike it, but it didn't like blow me away either. Let's see here. Favorite game with American history for older kids? Maybe 1960 or 1775? Notice I'm just throwing dates out, but those are the names of games. Which game could you actually win a cookie at? That is a good question. See me at the retreat for the answer. Dice Tower has grown over the years. Where do you gain revenue to afford your expenses for the company? Well, we run a Kickstarter each year in January that we're getting very close to fulfilling, actually. We have all the promos except 4 right now. We're still waiting for those 4 to show up, and then we'll get those together. We said we were going to send everything out in December, but it could be earlier than that, so we can hope. And then we have advertisements and other ways that we get income for the Dice Tower. Have I played Monikers? It's exactly like Time's Up with a few minor terrible changes. I know you didn't say that, but I really dislike the changes. I think Time's Up is a way better game. Am I worried about the hurricane heading towards Florida? I don't think it's going to affect us at all other than maybe some rain. Let me look here. And so I'm going to briefly share my screen with you all. Okay, so this is what... Always check out the National Hurricane Center. Don't listen to hype. So Franklin is going to avoid us in general. So we always look here at the cone. Franklin's a big hurricane, but it's just heading out to sea. So that one's not going to affect us at all. So let's jump to the Hurricane Idalia here. And so if you look at this, now this is unfortunate. It looks like it's going to hit the top of Florida. But I live right here, and so you see it's not coming anywhere near me. Happily, my older kids live here, so it's not hitting them there either. Now, it could shift a bit. It's not going to shift much. 1 a.m. Tuesday, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. So we'll see if it hits us, but we're not in the cone at all. So let's look at the U.S. rainfall. So you can see rain is going to come, but not much. Most of the rain, it's going to come up and hit, of course. Jacksonville is going to get hit. Tallahassee is going to get hit. Then, unfortunately, up here is going to get hit. So we feel for the people out there, but it's not going to affect us. We're not even getting the peak surge, and happily, it looks like it's going to miss where Joey is also. So we keep a pretty strong look at hurricanes as they come through, but this one does not look like it's going to affect us at all. Let's see here. Have you done a top 10 list of decorative games? Oh, that's an interesting thing. I might do that as a small top 10 list sometime. Tribute. You don't need to do tribute, but we do appreciate super chats, which for someone asking is another way we can get money here for the Dice Tower. Let's see here. Do you feel the messy fever in Miami? Yes, although 99% of it for me comes from Jason. Jason Levine's channel, he works at a TV station and they are broadcasting the games. And so he is he's in love with Messi right now. Mentions it every time I see him. National Zoo is great, but it's one big hill. But happily, we started at the top of the hill. And when we got to the end of the bottom of the hill, I said, there's an exit on this side of the zoo, hopefully. And there was. And I was like, yes, let's go out this way. Have I used Foretell or other narration apps for board games? Do you find they help with immersion? I like narrating apps. I like them a lot for games, if possible. So I don't use them a ton, but I enjoy them when they exist. How interested in theater are you? Very much so. Although I have not been to a Broadway show ever in person. And I know someone has offered, I said this in the past, and a couple people have offered me to go up to Miami or something to go to one. It just has not worked out yet. I would love to go more often. It's a long trip up to Miami from where we are to get there. So someday I'm going to go. Has Gen Con invited you back for an award show next year yet? Finally, a board game award show worth the name. Thank you very much. I want to give a lot of credit to Eric and Chris, and they put a lot of effort into that show. I have not talked to Gen Con about that. I thought it would be kind of uncouth to talk to them directly after Gen Con when they're all relaxing and resting, but I will be in touch with them to see if we can do it again. Is there an opportunity to paint something for the library? I don't know. We got people painting stuff in the library, and I don't want to pay for shipping to send stuff away and back because that's even more of a cost. So I appreciate the offer, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what we can get done here in southern Florida. Were you happy / sad that the day started functioning great without your direct presence last week? Why would I be sad about that? I think that's thrilling that I was gone and no one noticed hardly. Did I ever play more First Martians? I did not, actually. Thank you for the nice words, Todd. Rude, I guess I won't come to any conventions if you want me to avoid you. Where did I say that? I didn't mean to. I want me to avoid you. You're gonna have to. Did I say something wrong there? I don't know what I said. At the retreat, you get a cookie just for checking into your hotel. That's true. It is a DoubleTree. Actually, we just stayed at a DoubleTree, me and my son. So, and we got cookies there too. California just had its first hurricane in years. That's true. Florida is more adept about handling hurricanes. Doesn't mean we love them, obviously, or look forward to them, but things are better than most. Top 10 games that grew on you. I like that idea. You might see that in the future. What's my current opinion of Fantasy Flight LCGs? I don't play them very much. I played the Marvel one a few times. I played Arkham once. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Lord of the Rings, I'm okay on it. I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't necessarily attract me a ton. And since so many people here do love them, I let them handle that part of stuff. How do you ever find time to play games? I don't know. I always look for games. I didn't play any games on the trip to Washington, D.C. I want to make it a non-game trip. We just went and had a good time and played no games. That was it. But I'm back now. From 2012 to 2022, which year do you think was the best for board gaming and why? Well, I don't know off the top of my head what I would say right now, but it's probably 2012. But you can go back and look. We've done a top 10 years of board gaming. Are you planning to review the Witcher Old World game? We shall see. We shall see. When the convention retreat season starts to slacken a bit and you get into a more normal schedule, will those of us that pledge to play a game with you or Dice Dark Group happen? Yes, yes, yes. We were just talking about this the other day. It's going to happen for sure. Let's see here. You were talking about Hurricane Franklin just being goofy. Oh, okay. I'm still a little lost here. Sorry. Have I pulled any Enchanted Lorcana cards? I think, I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it means the ones without frames, the really valuable ones, and no, did not. Are you following Sam's new YouTube channel? I've watched it occasionally. So yeah, Sam has a new channel called The Flip Side. So let me see. Side, YouTube, Sam Healy. FOBG, The Flip Side of Board Games, actually. He's already up to 5,000 subscribers. Not bad. He's reviewed Green Team Wins, the Strategic Hexaquest. I've not played that one. Sam and JT's top 100 games of all time. Yeah, looks like there's lots of cool game reviews and stuff. You can check out his website. Let's see here. Have you tried the new expansion of Jump Drive? No, Chris did. I don't know. It's one of those ones where I was like, who asked for an expansion? Jump Drive's just a quick, small little game. I just didn't think it needed an expansion. Lots of people are asking me, have I played as a copy of games, one with a review coming, and they come when they come. But I have not played Lords of Ragnarok yet with the production value. Have you ever thought about touring board production places? Oh, I'd love to, but there's none near me, and they're very, very cautious to show stuff. They don't want to give away production secrets. Do you prefer iconography or things fully being written on cards for games? Yes. It's hard to be really interested in board games when people around you aren't super interested. I don't know if that's necessarily true. You could be interested in anything if people around you aren't interested. I don't let the people around me decide what I'm interested in. It means I might have less of an opportunity to do it, but you can find people who might be interested in board games. What are my favorite types of videos to record, produce? Top 10s for sure. I love doing top 10s. Let's see here. Time for a collaboration with the Flip Side. Well, if you want to see the Flip Side and the Dice Tower together, then you want to come to Dice Tower Cruise. Tickets are available, not many. Sam's coming there, and we're going to do something with him on the ship. If the Joker was injected in the MCU, what hero would he most likely be attached to? This question, I just saw this question. Did you steal this from the internet? I really feel like this just has popped up recently. I've seen it somewhere. I have no idea. I read lots of answers. Was this asked in Dice Tower Forum? It was asked somewhere. I definitely saw this on the internet. So I don't know who we would pick. Spider-Man, maybe? I don't know. What's the biggest gator I've seen in my time in Florida? I don't know. I've been to the gator farm, and there's a bunch of gigantic gators there. It's not too far from us here. But in the wild, by the wild, I mean in the Everglades, I've seen some decent-sized ones, as big as me, maybe. I've never seen like a humongous one. Do you own any non-smart watches? I used to own a watch, a non-smart watch that I would wear when I went swimming. Now these are waterproof, so I'm not so concerned about that. But I always bought $5 watches. My kids and I were at the store one time, and we were walking in the mall, and I saw a sign for Rolex, and I said, yeah, those are really expensive watches. They cost $1,000 sometimes. And they're like, well, what do they do? I'm like, they tell time. And they said, what else? I said, nothing. And they're like, why would anyone buy a watch that only told time for that much money? And I said, because they want to look rich. I can't think of any other reason, honestly. I don't care how impeccable time you need. You want to look fancy, you buy a Rolex, I suppose. But a smartwatch also notifies me occasionally when I get a text message. Doesn't do a very good job of it, though. Aha! I knew you stole the Joker question. I know I read it somewhere. Alrighty. Top 10 Game of the Year games that are forgotten now? We'll just go back from 2012 earlier, and almost all of them. Top 10 games that are terrible, but you had a good time with because of the people you play with. That's all the games I play I have a good time with because of the people I play with. I mean, not quite. Sometimes the rules are terrible or whatever, but the games that are bad, I just have a good time. We laugh about it. It's all about the people that you play games with, not the games themselves. What's the number one tip you would give for teaching Cosmic Encounter to new players? I would give everybody easy powers. That's my number one tip. Don't give people super complicated powers. I have a pattern for teaching Cosmic Encounter, so I just kind of usually go by that. Casio makes up the bulk of my watch collection. You know, when I was a kid, I remember distinctly, like my 14th birthday or something, I asked for a calculator watch. And my dad's response was very specifically, we're not made out of money. And I was like, all right. And then they bought it for me, and I was so proud of that. Doing little calculations on my watch. I love that so much. But I don't do it now, but at the time it was cool. And I had a phase in college where I did pocket watches. I liked the whole idea of the chain and the pull out the pocket watch and look at it. Very, very ungainly. You know, the thing with a watch is hopefully you can somehow, you know, when you're talking to people, you can glance your eyes at your watch. I am mind-boggled, actually, today. If it wasn't for Apple with smartwatches, watches are almost disappearing. People pull their phone out of their pocket to look at the time. And apparently I'm getting another game coming today. But they'll pull out their watches and look at them. To me, it seems so ungainly if you can just flip your wrist. When I forget my watch, occasionally I don't put my watch or something, I feel very much like, how does anyone know what time it is? I'm constantly using my watch for time and date. But the pocket watch was the same thing. Pull it out of your pocket. It was just there to look cool. I don't do them anymore. Peanut Butter Jelly Time, I do not think made the Dice Tower collection. We only have so much stuff. Mike says I have my Rolex with 3 L's I bought in Itaewon. Yes, that's a very different kind of Rolex there. If I was to look as stylish as you, I don't think I look stylish. I think the very opposite. I think I look like a dumpy person who wears ties. How would you rank the importance of having the following items: hat, tie, suspenders, smartwatch, and nice... Smartwatch is not even in the thing, right? Hat. Everything's the hat. Are there going to be any more top 10 things so-and-so is wrong about lists? Yeah, maybe. I mean, me and Z were really easy and obvious targets to do. You got to remember, just with a top 10 things that people are wrong about too, it's those kind of things. If you've ever seen a Friar's roast where people roast other folks or something like that, after a while I'm like, these things don't seem that funny. And it all depends on how well the person can take it. So me and Z, that stuff rolls right off our back. I'm very cautious about doing that to anybody. I'm not saying people Dice Tower don't have good humor or anything, but you got to be really, really careful about doing that. That's why we're not doing as many of those. What games are you jealous of others experiencing for the first time? Oh yeah, that's a great thing. I love when I can teach people. Ready, Set, Bet. I love when people see that for the first time. Cosmic Encounter, when people see that for the first time. When people play a Rosenberg game for the first time and it just blows their mind with all the choices they have. I love that. I love stuff like that. What is my favorite special attack from any video game you've played? Ooh. Well, I have a special affinity for the rolling breathe fire attack from Dawson, which is back, bottom, forward, press the button. There was a lot of cool ones in Marvel, but I love that special attack. Oh, but then the special attacks, the limit attacks from Final Fantasy. Knights at the Round Table, of course. It's hard to... I think it's probably... Knights at the Round Table was so satisfying. I mean, it takes way too long to run through it, but wow, what a powerful ability that was. Once you had Knights at the Round Table, you beat the game. All right. Any advice when going to PAX Unplugged? I would ask on Facebook, actually. Lots of people give different advice there. I don't know that I'm the best to give advice for that con. Let's see here. Do you feel a bit bad when you feel games with your wife which force you to lie? I want to be really clear here. I don't feel even the tiniest smidge of regret, badness at all. In fact, if I lie to her in 4, I think that's hilarious. Because it's a game. I don't lie to my wife in real life. She doesn't lie to me, I'm assuming. But in a game, all bets are off. We don't transfer things that happen in the game to outside a game, ever. You know, she has backstabbed me. I backstabbed her. But that's in a game. Outside a game, it doesn't affect our lives at all. But I know some people don't like to lie in games either, and that's fine. I just wouldn't play that kind of game with them. Let's see here. I have not read the Green Ember series, I don't think. Top 10 games that are terrible kimonos. We've done that top 10 list too. We did a top 10 games that are ugly on the outside or something like that. How was my Sunday? My Sunday went pretty well. I ran a potluck at my church. So I got in the morning, woke up and went right and did that. And that was great. We had a really good time. And then the rest of Sunday, I relaxed a little bit, did a lot of work prepping for this week. I watched Ahsoka with my kids, things like that. Introduced my son to stamp collecting. So he bought, they had 1,000 stamps for $10 at the Postal Museum. That's a pretty good deal, but they're all on paper. So I was showing him how you take stamps off of paper. And I really remember doing that so much as a kid. It was great. I don't know if his stamp collection will last past a week or two, but he was taking it very seriously. I don't really watch football, no. I mean, I watch it occasionally. I can watch football. I know what's going on. I understand the sport and everything. And I can get into a game of football. I just don't love sports. It's kind of weird. I like sports fine. I watch sports. I like to watch sports that have strategic plays. Baseball's interesting to me because, you're like pausing. Okay, now he's going to do this, hit here, throw here. Football is also that way. You pause, go. Basketball is more back and forth. Hockey, back and forth. Soccer/football, back and forth. I like those fine, but I like the ones where you can kind of stop and then a play goes from beginning to end. That's interesting to me. I don't love sports. I don't talk about sports. If you say, do you want to go see the game? Maybe I'll go. I don't care. It's fine. I'll have a good time. But on TV, I won't watch any. I've always liked hats. I have indeed. Did the library receive a copy of Ice? We did not. I emailed the company about it, but I've not heard back from them. Let's see here. Top 10 worst game teachers. I've had them many times. There was once where we were learning to play, what's it called? Chaos in the Old World. And a guy said, I can teach you. And then he read the rule book out loud to us. I was like, I could have just done that, Recently, I had a guy interrupt my teach. Not recently, well, in the past year. Someone interrupted my teach, told me I was no longer needed. So I was like, all right, no worries. The other people at the table came and apologized to me later. No apologies from their end. I just thought it was odd. I've had some bad rules teachers before, but I'm learning to sit on my hands and take them. Dawson was my favorite to play. He didn't seem to be most people's favorite to play, though. I was never that great at using him, but I always thought it was fun. What game would you 101 as in remove from existence? Oh, there's so many. Any game that I hate, I guess. But if someone else loves it, I don't know that I might. I might be convinced not to. Like, but so-and-so likes it. I'm like, okay, great. Playing games outside? I don't know if we could do that here. We have so much breeze and wind here in Florida. I think that they would blow all over the place. Time to stand? Did my phone? Oh, it does say time to stand. You're right. I'll stand when I want to, Apple. You can't tell me. Would you recommend Destiny to someone who likes Euros and not in a dungeon crawls? It's not a Euro or a dungeon crawl. It's more of a move around, kind of investigate. It's closer to Chronicles of Crime, I think, than a dungeon crawl. Is he good at line games? Yes. Better than you? Yes. You guys make a joke about that often. Well, it's true. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your YouTube career? Answering this question. No. I don't know. I've made a lot of mistakes, I suppose. I don't know what the biggest one would be. I don't know what the biggest. I know lots of small ones. Any chance you guys would record a game of Blood on the Clock there? I can assure you with almost 100% certainty that we would not ever do that. We have not played Blood on the Clock Tower yet. I want to give it a try at some point. The problem is I want to play it out of the box. I want to play it with other people who haven't played before, and we all learn at the same time. Because everyone I know who likes the game is a fanatic about it. And I can't have these fanatics teaching me the game because it's if I'm going to give it a proper assessment, it's too much. They like the game too much. They'll run things. I don't know. So that's kind of a tough call. But those fanatics are also the reason we wouldn't stream one, because then I would have everyone telling me in excruciating detail every rule we get wrong. Now, later today, and a few hours actually, we'll play it live. We play games live. And we're learning them from the rule book and playing them straight there on camera. We make that pretty clear, and yet we still will get garbage about it. I've learned to deal with that. But when it comes to a game people really love, I'm much more cautious. Where's the Dice Tower Library West? Where's the Dice Tower West Library stored? You mean you need the address? Because then you might be up for... It's in Vegas somewhere. What's your opinion on the current state of the MCU? I'm so bored by the MCU right now, and that's unfortunate. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like some of the movies. I had a good time with Guardians of the Galaxy. Did a nice job wrapping up that series. I enjoyed Ant-Man for what it was. I haven't watched Secret Wars yet. I don't know. I'm just not that excited about it. I wanted to be excited about it. There's just a lot of things I'm not... There's no end game in sight, and I don't mean it as a pun, although it could be. But what are we waiting for? What's exciting on the horizon? The other ones felt like they were building to this one. This one, they all feel very disjointed. So maybe things will come around, but there's no Avengers movie next year. Maybe the year after that. And with the strike, maybe who knows when it will come. What do you think about learning the game at the table? Well, I do it. I know that it kills momentum. I get it. And it's probably best... I don't recommend learning the game at the table, but I do it all the time. I'm fast at reading rules, so it's a little less cumbersome for most people. Are you going to review games that will be released at Essen? I hope so. Any advice on how to run a game of Werewolf when nobody there has played the game before? Oh, yeah. I mean, just run it like a normal game of Werewolf. Just teach everyone how to play it. It's great. How often do you play handmade games? Almost never, actually. Did you ever figure out the saving issue in your Greek adventure? No, and it's really killed my momentum there, so I might get back to it, but it hasn't happened yet. Do you like what you've heard about Dune Imperium Uprising? I'm still trying to figure out what's different, this game, how it's different from Dune Imperium. So I bought and played Food Chain Magnate for the first time this year. Loved it. I think you had a bad first play against a group who played before. 100% that's what happened to me. But also that doesn't make me love the game. If the game can do that, if that's a thing in the game, that's not interesting to me. It's not interesting to me in a game where there's a certain number of card choices, but you really don't have that many. You really need to pick one of these three. And then when you make this move, you should make this move. And then there's deeper, more involved moves, and it's cutthroat and nasty, and the components look terrible. Like, none of this comes together to make me want to play the game again. I won't play it again. If you enjoyed, though, fantastic. How is the Chief doing? Well, not too bad. I actually thought about that recently. I went to Washington, D.C., since he lives in Washington, E.C., which is kind of a joke. But it is actually, Washington, E.C. is a place that exists. It's in the dimension 62.43. I don't remember exactly. It's on the planet Beeswax. I know, haha, none of your. But it's there, and it is a nice place. I can't give you his actual address because, well, one, he doesn't want me to give it out, but two, he's on a mobile home. In this city, they have these giant tubes that run underneath the ground and go through the city, and the homes are constantly moving. So it's actually kind of convenient. Sometimes inconvenient because you need to say, hey, I need to be at the store. Well, we're going to be close to that store around 4 o'clock. Do you want to get out then? So you might say, well, then if you get out, how do you get back in? You go to the store and your house is moved. But you can lock them to the walls of this tube. Now, it's like a parking space almost for your car. And so now the Chief has uptown clearance, so he never has to look for a parking space, so that's kind of convenient. Although you can get stuff delivered through Whoosh Dash, almost anything anyway. So anyway, I'm giving you really mundane details about Washington, E.C., which I don't think you're that interested in. Was it named after George Washington? It was not. It was named after Washington, Washington. Long story there. His parents thought that would be a funny name to give him. He's not related to George Washington at all. In fact, I'm not 100% sure they're the same species even. But he did save this planet from the... come to think of it, I wonder if the computer algorithm is messing with it, because they're called the Reed Coats, an alien race that was taking over with really big white eyes. Wow, the crossover. Interesting. Well, I'm sure someone's written a book about it. But Washington helped fight back. They decided to make him the first president of the United Continents, I believe. I'm not sure what the name of the country is. I apologize. I don't normally ask that. I just go to Washington, E.C. It's a nice vacation spot. There's all kinds of cool things that you can see there. They have the missing fourth pyramid from Giza. They just took it. And, I mean, this was thousands of years ago, so no one has noticed really. Now we'd be like, oh, it's bigger than the other three combined, which is kind of neat. And it actually sinks into the ground. It's now being used as mostly a museum and giant gift shop of sorts. I apologize. I'm getting off track. And our time is almost up. Adventures is slated for 2027. Boo to that. Okay. Anyhow, that's it for questions, folks. I apologize. We are going to be back in 3 hours for We'll Play It Live. Lots of different things coming this week, folks. We have We'll Play It Live later today. Let's see. If you missed it, the podcast is back up. Me and Eric and Julie. One of that went up last week. We're recording another one this week, which will be posted next week. Dice Tower TV is coming next week. You're going to be able to watch that for a week straight while we're at the retreat. Let me see. What else? What else might we have coming up this week? We have a top 10 list with guest star. I'm kidding. Not a guest star at all. Not a star, nor a guest. Mike DeLisio, me and Z will be doing our top 10 game designers. And Board Game Smorgasbord, crowd surfing, All that stuff's coming your way this week. Anyway, until later, I'll see you all. I'm Tom Vasel. Have fun gaming.